Hi everybody, thanks so much for joining us. In this presentation, we're going to continue our conversation about vaping and talk specifically about resources and tools that you can use as a community-based organization and or public health provider. So what can you do? Again, one of the best things you can do is just have that conversation about vaping, especially if you serve youth or young adults. Reminder that they often don't think of vaping or juuling or any of those other terms as smoking. So you might be working with somebody and ask them the question, do you smoke? And they'll say no, and you'll move on, but they might be vaping and just not connecting the two as the same thing. So you might ask them that question to get the conversation started. You may just provide them with some facts that we talked about, like that it contains nicotine and other cancer-causing and hazardous chemicals. Dispel some myths, like I told you, it's not water vapor, as many people think that it is. And reminding them that there's no perfect time to talk, but just get the conversation started. Especially if you're going to be working with youth, practice those refusal skills of how to say no and avoid situations where it might be difficult to say no. And you can always start the conversation with those open-ended questions of what's their take on vaping, do they know anybody who vapes, just really to get started. And it's always important to encourage the people you serve to make a quit attempt. And it's also important to know that most people don't have a successful quit attempt on their first try, but every time that they try to quit, they learn what didn't work for them, so they can try something new the next time. So if you're working with youth, again, we have these 2 free youth resources in Massachusetts, the automated texting program through the Truth Initiative called This Is Quitting, and then also the program that's texting and over the phone, My Life, My Quit. So that's texting or verbal connection. The Massachusetts Health Promotion Clearinghouse is a free resource where you can download or order materials like posters and brochures. And it's also a place where you can order these cards here that you see on the right. They're just a little bit bigger than a business card, and they're really great to have out in your office or workspace because kids can grab them at their own discretion and sort of go through this checklist and see, oh, maybe I do need help vaping. I answered yes to these questions. And when they flip this card over, they see this information here on the back. And even though we've talked a lot about how youth vape, we do know that adults are vaping as well. So whether it's our regular cigarettes that we're used to or e-cigarettes, we know that they can get free help through the Massachusetts Smokers Helpline. Anyone as young as 12 can call and get help. The only piece of this program that's 18 plus is the nicotine replacement therapy. So that's things like the patch, the gum, lozenge, all of those things. If somebody calls and goes through coaching with the Massachusetts Smokers Helpline, they can get up to 8 weeks of nicotine replacement therapy for free if they are over 18 or over. But regardless of their age, it's a really great resource to call, whether they're 12, 20, or 60. We know that calling this helpline or contacting the helpline is going to be so helpful because with the combination of medication and coaching, their chances for quitting for good is tripled. And just like when we talked about with kids, we know that there's many adults who also aren't ready to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, or there might be a language barrier. But we also know that there's many people who want information about the connection between smoking and vaping and COVID-19. So that information is available on the Massachusetts Smokers Helpline website. So they can go and click this tab here and get that information. They can also get the information on this website available in Spanish. If somebody, let's say they don't necessarily want to enroll online, they also don't want to call the helpline themselves, what you can do is provide a warm transfer. A warm transfer is when first you as the provider call the Massachusetts Smokers Helpline with the person in the room. So you say, oh, you're interested in quitting, you're not super comfortable going online, but you're also not comfortable calling yourself. let me make that initial phone call for you. Once you call the Smokers Helpline, you are going to introduce the member in the helpline coach. So you'll call the helpline, you'll hear a coach. You're going to just provide that initial introduction. And once that introduction is done, you hand the phone call off to the person who you're helping that day. So you make the connection, you take away that initial barrier that might be causing them to not reach out to help. And you can just be the middleman to make it more comfortable and trustworthy. The other model you can follow is ask, advise, refer. So the first step is ask. Before you have a conversation about tobacco, it's always important to ask permission first. If the person gives you permission to have that conversation about tobacco, then go ahead and start the conversation. Once you have permission, instead of sort of pushing it without that initial permission, you're more likely to be heard. So it's really easy to ask permission. You just can simply start it with, is it all right to spend a few minutes talking about smoking and vaping today? And remember, it's important to use both of those terms, smoking and vaping, because most people don't realize that they're the same. But go ahead and start by asking permission. Once you've gotten permission, the next step is advise. So urge all tobacco users, no matter what kind of tobacco or how strong the addiction, to make a quit attempt. You want to be strong in your messaging, clear, don't use too many public health or medical terms, and you want to be personal. Everybody's addiction is personal, and you want to make sure you aren't coming off as robotic or not genuine. So you want to hear their concerns about vaping or smoking and making a quit attempt and suggest what might work best for them. And remember not to judge them. So we talked about how youth and vaping are victims of the tactics of the industry. And adults, addiction's a hard thing to quit. So you don't want to judge them, but you said be grateful for the fact that they're ready to take a step in becoming healthier and that they trust you to help them with that journey. So again, just some guidance of the conversation. Quitting tobacco is one of the best things you can do for your health, and I strongly encourage quitting. And I'm someone who can help you. And ask them their concerns. What are your concerns? What are their thoughts? And remember, they might tell you, well, I've tried to quit before and it didn't work. But your response can be, well, what method did you try? Did you try only medication? Maybe. So then maybe this time you try both medication and coaching through the Smokers Helpline, which is available both over the phone and online. And we know that when those things are combined, you might have a more successful quit attempt. Every time you have an unsuccessful quit attempt, you learn about what didn't work for you. So we had ask, we had advise, and then we refer. So again, now Massachusetts Smokers Helpline is really going to be your best friend, especially if it's an adult. We know they have the counseling, the coaching, and the FDA approved medication. And we know that that's really important because when vaping first came out, vaping companies said, oh yeah, vaping is a cessation device, and cessation is that fancy word for quitting. But that was not scientifically proven or FDA approved. So vaping is not an approved cessation device, but the FDA medication is. And we know that we want to triple and increase their likelihood of success. Another resource that's available for your organization is QuitWorks. QuitWorks is an evidence-based facts or e-referral program to the Smokers Helpline, again, where they can get medication and coaching completely for free. And it's going to give the user who's interested in quitting proactive outreach. So you can visit this website to get that information. And here's a picture of the referral form. So what QuitWorks does is instead of somebody saying, I'm interested in quitting, okay, here you go call this phone number. What QuitWorks does is say, I'm glad you're interested in quitting. If you give me permission, I'll fill out this referral for you as the provider. You fill out their name, your name, the information on both sides, send them the referral, and then the quit line will reach out to the smoker. So that the work is on the quit line instead of the person who's already in a vulnerable place trying to quit. So this is really great to help, again, take down that initial barrier where they might be hesitant to reach out for help. So just go ahead and click on the URL you see on your screen to get more information about QuitWorks. And what's really great is we actually have a brand new incentive program at the Massachusetts Smokers Helpline. So we talked about how all menthol tobacco is no longer being sold. And since we know it's easier to start smoking and harder to quit using, we have a new incentive program for anyone in the state who uses menthol tobacco. They go through 3 coaching calls, and after each coaching call, they get a gift card, and at the end, all those gift cards will add up to $50. So anyone who uses menthol tobacco reaches out to the Quit line, tells them that, and they go through the calls and get the incentive to help them quit. That's for menthol tobacco. The incentive is also for anyone with a behavioral health condition. So somebody might be both. They might be both a menthol user and a behavioral health patient, or they might be just one or the other. But for the behavioral health program, if they have any of these diagnoses, are 18 or over, and are ready to quit within 30 days, and initially preferred language is English, their program's a little bit more extensive. They get 7 coaching calls instead of 3, but they still get the $50 at the end of the coaching via the gift cards. So this is brand new, and the program does not have a deadline as to when it ends, so I'm not sure what the date is of when you're watching this presentation, but the program will run until funds run out. Just a little bit of background information as to why the incentive is being offered. So we know menthol is easier to start, harder to quit, but we also know that people who use menthol tobacco say, I wouldn't use it if I didn't have access to it. So we take it off of the shelf, so now they're more likely to make a quit attempt, and we also know that health behavior can be influenced when there's an incentive to motivate that change in behavior, because we know that behavior change is not easy. And we also know that Black, Indigenous, people of color, that's what BIPOC stands for, is the population that is disproportionately affected by menthol tobacco. And since we know that they're less likely to receive quitting advice from a healthcare professional, we're going to say, okay, well, you reach out to the Quit line and they're going to give you money for reaching out. And since they're less likely to be prescribed the medication from a provider, the Quit line can do that too. And again, the Massachusetts Clearinghouse has all the information to reinforce the messages we've talked about today. Things like posters that say, you know, it might take 7 tries to quit for good. Information about the dangers of vaping and why you shouldn't smoke. All of these brochures, stickers, posters can be downloaded or ordered for free on the Clearinghouse. And always stay up to date on the information using evidence-based, public health, trusted websites. If you're interested in more training, you can reach out to our partners. You can reach out to me directly and I can connect you to our partners at UMass Medical School, especially if your organization is more of a behavioral health or medical organization. Our partners at UMass Medical can give you specific training and implement practices so that cessation and tobacco conversation is a regular part of your practice. So you can visit their website or reach out to me and I can connect you directly to our partners there. And again, always check out our website at getoutraged.org for all of the information that we've gone over today. And if you have any questions, I can be reached at the info number or email that you see on the screen. I'm more than happy to talk with you or come in for a live give a live presentation virtually for your organization as well. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you all stay safe and have a great day.